Okay, so it looks like I just got done taking a shower. It's because I did. Just got back from my run and need to go and take a shower first so I don't look like a complete mess while I'm making this video. I'm even still in my post-workout shirt, which is all torn and makes me look like a freaking homeless person. But with that said, you probably don't want to hear me talk about taking a shower. You want to hear me talk about King of the Hill. Unless you want to hear me talk about taking a shower, which is kind of weird. Maybe we'll save that for another video. But with that said, King of the Hill is coming back. And I am really excited for this. Because it's been 15 years since this show was canceled. 15 years, if you can believe that. And in that time, a lot has changed. And it's going to be really interesting to go and see how it will go and affect the show. When it was originally canceled, I was pretty disappointed. Well, I wasn't too big a fan of it. I did still like it. And when I saw what went and replaced it, the Cleveland show, that is when I got a little upset. And considering that show only lasted about 4 seasons, there's a reason to be upset about that. And even as a kid, I did still kind of like the show when I was little. Not as much as I liked something like Family Guy or The Simpsons, but I did like it. But the older I got, the better it got. It was a show I started to relate to more and more and more. And then something like Family Guy became less funny. I think it just has to go and do with the way the humor is. Something like Family Guy, a lot of it often has to go and relate to something like pop culture. And then it goes and makes it more outdated as it goes on, but something like King of the Hill, it doesn't rely on pop culture. And because of that, it stands the test of times more. So, to me, it probably does stand off as the better show. But with the new one coming on Hulu, it's going to be really interesting to see how it takes off. So it's supposed to take place, I think, about 8 years later, which itself is going to be kind of interesting. Bobby is supposed to be about 21 now, and Hank, I think, is supposed to be pushing 50. So it wouldn't be the real ages of the characters. In real life, Bobby would probably be around Hank's age, and then Hank would be pushing 70 right now. So it's not their real ages, but they are still aging them up. I was kind of divided on that first about aging them up. I was like, well, they could get some good plot if they stayed the same age, but still, the more I thought about it, the more I liked it because it's different. One of the things I hate about reboots is that they don't do enough. They often keep everything the same. And it's just, if you're going to do that, why reboot it at all? I'd rather just go and watch the original. And then sometimes in a reboot, they try to go and they try to make it too modern. And it doesn't stick like that for me. It sounds like they're trying too hard to go in and get today's age. And it looks like they're doing a teensy bit of that in there, but not too much. And overall, this is probably the most excited I've ever been for a reboot. Most of the time, I don't really care, or I think, well, maybe it could work, but overall, I'm really excited for this, and a lot of people seem to be. This is one of the most anticipated reboots I have ever seen. So, I said before, it's going to be set years later with Bobby being adult and Hank not being elderly, really, but still being older. And I really think it could go and show a good dilemma between Bobby and Hank, with Bobby now being an adult. How would this affect their relationship? How would they go and do all these things? And one of the plots is going to be about beer, where Bobby prefers a scout beer, and Hank prefers the stuff you get in the bottle, just the everyday generic beer. And to me, that always sounds like it could be a fun story. Because, that's kind of was like probably like for me and my dad. I do like generic beer, but I also like some scout beers once in a while. I'm really kind of excited to see what the relationship between Bobby and Connie is going to be. Because from what we see in some trailers, Bobby's kind of a ladies' man. He always was in the original as well, but now he's really handing it off. He seems to be in a relationship with at least 2 women. They could be the same person, maybe. We didn't see the other person's face, but still, I kind of wonder what they are going to do with Bobby and Connie in this. Will they get together at one point, or will they just stay friends? During one part in one of the trailers, he gives her a horse, but she's kind of laughing at him, and he looks pissed off. So I do want to go and see where they go and take that. Another interesting part would be Lorraine and Lucky. What are they going to do with them, since their actors sadly passed away several years ago? I'm really hoping that they don't kill them off, because they're just too likable to me. I like Lorraine, I like Lucky, and if they kill them off, that would be really disappointing. I'm really hoping that maybe they're just in another state or something like that. I still do hope we go and get to see their kid, and maybe a cameo for them at least. Because I don't want them dead. As for the writing itself, it does seem really on point. It seems really King of the Hill, which makes me glad. There's one part in one of the trailers where Hank is like, Bobby, give your old dad a firm handshake. Really Hank Hill thing to say. Really Hank Hill. But then at one point he just goes, oh, if you're a cook, then I'm a comedian. Something along those lines. But it does seem like it's going to be really Hank Hill material. It does pretty much feel the same, while just pretty much updating it, which makes me really happy. It doesn't feel like it's going to be woke, which I saw a lot of people worried about. I never was really worried about that, because this is Mike Judge. He's not a woke person, conservative or anything like that. I think he's more in the middle, but I was never worried about being woke. The Beavis and Butthead reboot was not woke. It's not completely the same, but it's not woke, so I was never worried about that. King of the Hill has always been a cultural show. It's always been about Hank's reaction to the changing world. So it would go and make sense to go and continue that, but also not go a woke route. He'll meet some woke people, but the show itself will not be woke. Then there's the voices. So they do have the same voice actors. Mike Judge as Hank Hill, and everyone else as everyone else. I can't remember the names at the time, but everyone is going to be coming back. Though sadly, the guy who did voice Dale sadly passed away, as well as the guy who voiced John Redcorn, who was sadly murdered. But even with that, most of the people are going to be coming back, and it sounds good for the most part. The delivery and the timing in some of the parts of the trailers we've seen does seem a little off. Now, that might be because of the trailers, not because of the show itself. In the trailers, they usually have to go and cut things around, so it might be that. But it also might be just because they're getting back at it. It's been 15 years since they voiced these characters, and they really need to go and get into it again. If you hadn't voiced a character in 15 years, you'd probably be pretty bad. It'd be kind of like driving a car for the first time in 20 years. If something like that happened, you'd probably be pretty rusty. It also might just be aging as well. A lot of these actors are now in their 60s or so, so their voice is going. If you've listened to The Simpsons lately, you can see some of the voices going. I mean, Marge. So, just as long as they still do well in it, if they sound like the characters, and if they can keep up on the timing and delivery, I don't really see too much of a problem with it. Then there's the animation. So, yeah, it does look kind of cheap at times. It looks robotic, it looks stiff, it doesn't look that great as the original. At one point, there's this scene where Hank is holding out his hand, the one where he's about to shake Bobby's hand, and it looks like it's missing a frame or two. It just looks really off. Then, during that part where he's looking at the baseball, and his face is close up, it also looks off when the way he looks to the side. It looks weird, like it's missing a frame. And then the way they're walking, it looks stiff. It looks like at one point that they're not really moving their legs. They're just like moving with one leg or something like that. And a lot of people have been going around saying that maybe it's rigged, which is how a lot of shows do these days. But supposedly that's not the case. Supposedly it is being done the regular way. So maybe it's just a budget thing. Maybe it doesn't have the same budget as Fox. And maybe if the show does well, then the next season will have better animation. That's kind of how it was with Futurama. When that show came back, the first season of the revival wasn't that good. The animation wasn't. But when it got another season, it was a little bit better. So that's what it might be. But the comedy does seem pretty spot on for the most part as well. There was that one part where Peggy was talking about how giving herself a 5, or Hank said he didn't want to go and give that one Uber guy a 5, which is a really Peggy moment right there. Bill was extremely fat, and I saw some people not liking that, but I think it makes sense because Bill would be that type of character who wouldn't know what to do without Hank and Peggy there. So I think that makes sense. Once again, Bobby's love life, it should be interesting to look at. I'm not really that much of a Bobby and Connie person, but still, I think it would be cute if they got them together finally. And I'm also kind of interested in his job as well. In the show, he wanted to be a comedian, but now he's a chef, and it does make sense because he came to go and show his love of cooking at the end of the series. But it should also go and show a great dilemma between Hank and Bobby, with Hank liking the more American foods, and Bobby probably also doing some kind of foreign stuff, since he works at this Japanese-German restaurant. Those are my thoughts on what the show is going to be like so far. We've only gotten a few trailers so far, not too much, but I am excited. I'm a little nervous, who knows what might happen in it, but for the most part, I am excited. I also do hope it lasts a little while. From what I read, it's supposed to only last 2 seasons, but who knows, if it does well, it might last longer. And hopefully this time it won't get cancelled by the freaking Cleveland show. God, I hate that show. God, I hate it. But I also hope it sets to example what other reboots need to do. Not go and do the exact same thing. Not go and do just try to be too modern. Just do something like this. I don't like it when shows do the exact same thing. One show that has done that recently is Phineas and Ferb, and I've seen a few episodes of the reboot. It's okay, but it just also feels like the same exact show. Just like I'm watching the same exact show from 10 years ago, so I just kind of wish maybe they made them older, or maybe have a different set of kids or something like that. Just do something different. Okay, so those are my thoughts on this. When the show finally premieres, I might maybe give or more likely, I'll probably go and do just one big video giving my thoughts on the series overall. Hopefully, it will be a positive video. But when that video does come out, check it out. But until then, rate, comment, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you think of the show. Is it going to be good, or is it probably going to be just like most reboots and it's probably going to fall flat and it's going to be forgotten about in a few years? What do you think? Just tell me down below. Until then, take care.